Good morning. Thank you, Vanessa, for that introduction. And if technology has not been kind to us, let me introduce myself. I am Abraham Mauricio. Along with Vanessa and Jason, we are presenting to you our proposal for the program evaluation of the Clio Institute Miami's Empowering Resilient Women program. So, following off the logic model, our program theory is going to look at some of the assumptions that the logic model might be making, and that's going to help us really get at the type of data we might want to look for. So if you are following along with me, the activities of your staff that we have identified with conversations with you. And first off, let me pause here and say that we appreciate the opportunity we had with working with each and every single one of you throughout the time that we put together this proposal. Our major goal is to listen to you, to incorporate your feedback, because we may be experts in program evaluation, but you are the subject matter experts when it comes to empowering resilient women, when it comes to the mission of the Clio Institute. And so it is important to us that the program evaluation really reflects your values and reflects how your organization will proceed. So, initial activities that we saw that your organization undertakes, our assumptions is that your staff is available. You have the available staff to accomplish that, and that those human resources activities or funding levels are going to be consistent or improved throughout the course of the ERW fellowship. The outputs we identified, and again, I'm trying not to repeat the work of Vanessa, but they are related, are that those spaces will be available and continue throughout the course of the fellowship. And some of the key ones, just to skip along here, and I'm hoping you guys can see the program theory. The behavior changes is probably something that we are going to really hone in on and focus on throughout the course of our data collection in the majority minority communities and really across the country. The program really depends upon, pardon me, the program at COVID, right? Well, I mean, this is post-COVID, but still. The program really depends on the how community being at least cooperative. Although some of the assumptions we identify is even if they're not cooperative, we're really going to look and see whether the fellows have the interpersonal cachet or capital to resist any opposition, so counter resist. But that is independent, of course, from their willingness to apply that counter resistance and whether that is going to be deemed worth it, whether this program is deemed worth it to go through that. And there are important unanticipated results. Now, the irony is we can't put all the unanticipated results because if we did, then they wouldn't be unanticipated, right? And so we leave some space. But there are a few that we can kind of grab our head around. Our fellows are going to be taking time away from their families. They might have some negative effects from that. Lack of attention to minors, or not in the legally negligent way, but just less than there was before. External influences and pressures. We mentioned a little bit about the social pressures, but also you can imagine the work demands. And a very interesting one that Vanessa actually honed in on during our discussions is climate gentrification, which this is a very interesting concern that as we work to empower resilient women and that those changes are seen throughout the community and they mitigate their risk due to climate change, and property values increase, especially in the areas where we recently had some floodings, you would see how those property values would significantly increase when these homes are now probably the more protected in the area, and that might cause some gentrification, that might cause increased attention from people who can outbid the locals, populace for those homes, and then we would find that the community that we're seeking to serve has to move elsewhere. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I think at this point I'm going to pause, and I believe Jason is going to talk with you about engaging the stakeholders more elaborately from the audience today. And so I'll pause and wait to be hit play in a moment. Okay, so if you're with me again, Jason, thank you so much for the stakeholder engagement strategies. And just in case, I might have come after Vanessa's handling of the evaluation questions. So thank you so much, Vanessa. And now hopefully we are set up to discuss our document review. So conceptually, this is going to be in the evaluation design, going to be coming after you've heard about surveys, you've heard about interviews. I'm actually, for the sake of probably logical flow, I'm going to skip to our triangulation. And this is a very interesting feature because the data that we're going to collect from you, we are trying to make sure that it is accurate data. We don't want to give you a false sense of certainty by having one number or one measurement indicate something that really, if we were to check it with some other measurement, we would find out that it is not accurate. And so because our key mission in this evaluation is to increase your existing success, we want to really focus on, well, what are the major value that this program imparts on the fellows and the communities. And so if you're looking at the triangulation slide with me, the first one, we saw that we are going to be reaching out to the current fellows. We're going to be reaching out to alumni. And those are two different sources. There are two different populations of stakeholders that may have, and we expect to have, different things to say with the advantage of perspective. And we have an additional one that I'm going to talk about in a minute. For the current fellows, we're going to have two different data sources. The first one, so two different collection practices, is a focus group where we're really going to take a few of the fellows and try to, on a personal level, get out what really is their sense of what this program is going to impart, the value it is, what they thought about that when they decided to apply, and what they think about that now. And there is going to be some time delay analysis there, so we're going to ask them at a particular point in time, and then we're going to follow up later. Pause there. Let's go to the alumni. We're going to send the alumni, I think I skipped one. We're going to send a survey. So that's the focus group. Now we're going to use a survey to kind of fill in those details quantitatively. And then we're going to, the second data source is do that same survey procedure with alumni and kind of compare those results. We're going to have 3 points at least of survey data and 1 focus group data. And going to our third source, we're going to do a document review analysis of your program materials, the publicly facing program materials, to see if what from the horse's mouth from this program says your value is, if that aligns with what we have seen it to be in the eyes of the alumni and the fellows and the applicants. And so now I'm going to go back and conclude my section with a document review. And so the first job, and if you may not be looking at the PowerPoint, but you may be looking at it, we looked at when you got on ABC News, we looked at your segments, and we took transcripts from that, and we treated those transcripts as a document. And we also looked at the other marketing materials that may be on your screen, and we treated all those as a document. And so the first thing, that was step 1. The second thing was to identify all those documents in one place with a summary. And from that list, summary list, we applied decision rules. Skip that. That was part of step 1, determining the decision rules of what documents are going to be included in this analysis. We're looking at documents, of course, that are meant to be publicly facing marketing materials. We want to see what this organization, in your viewpoint, has value, the value it provides to others. And so going forward, we are going to identify the documents that we have that matches those criteria. And then we're going to do a qualitative pre-analysis. So on your screen, that same transcript, I highlighted just a couple of words that will be are demonstrative of the type of words we'll be looking for. Now, this is all going to be backed by extensive literature in the field. And this is one of the reasons why you come to us, and we do this for you, because we will sit down and do the research of, well, what is actually good practices, what has been peer reviewed to be the most appropriate and accurate measurement. And so we're not just thinking about these things on the fly. When we're looking at these words, when we're identifying these words, we're doing so according to the best science available at the time. And so this is just an example of what it could be. Of course, once we actually do engage in the work, they could be different. And what we're looking for in this particular data point, things that would go towards showing the value that the program has for the participants. Right now, you might be looking at a screen where we're talking about deploying analytical assistive technology. What this is really talking about is object recognition software. So for not so much the transcripts, but your marketing materials, we're really going to want to have a computer help us and analyze and try to turn all those pictures in the computer's eyes into words that we can use for analysis. And then we are going to review that, right? Because AI is not perfect yet. Where a human touch is going to go in and see and make sure that that was done correctly. And this is a separate point. All of that information, whether it's from the transcripts, whether it's from the marketing materials, that needs to be translated from a human, sorry, I got distractions. That needs to go from a way that humans will understand it to a way that will be beneficial to us for quantitative analysis. And so it's basically going to exist in a database in a format that was foreign to me, would be foreign to anybody. This is a document. Yeah, it's a database, but it's a document as it exists in the database. And then we engage in a pre-analytical statistical summary. And so what this means is now we're going to do some descriptive statistics, mean, median, mode, for the keywords, going back to what we would have pre-identified in the pre-qualitative analysis, and just have a general look at what we see here. You have a lot of positive terms, for example, or not. So doing the quantitative analysis, we're going to have several null hypotheses, which basically means we are assuming, for the sake of testing, that no value. We have no value for the fellows, no value for no intangible benefits, no benefits for tangible benefits. And that really is just, again, we're testing against this. And we're going to group and recast variables according to, okay, so denotatively coterminal datums. And what I mean by that is related words that mean the same thing. Obviously, we're not going to use the same word all the time like good. We might use good, great, and perfect. And when we're doing our analysis, we're really going to want to treat all those as one to increase the validity or increase the sample size that we have to go from. So at that point, now we're going to start getting into our big data tools. We're going to choose statistical tests that is appropriate for the data, what we're trying to answer with that data, and what we think we'll get. So just a particular example to help us wrap our brains around this. We know that, for example, good or learned is something that we expect to see in the document review. And we are going to be checking to see a Pearson's chi-square would show, this is a data test, if the frequency found is significantly different from the frequency expected, such that the relationship cannot be explained by random chance. In other words, and again, we're going to be looking at the literature in the field. Are you guys saying, sorry, that is terrible, are you gals, are we really promoting this program in a way that's going to be consistent with what the fellows and the alumni and the community sees that it is the value that it provided? And if not, it might be an area for improvement. So again, thank you so much. And I look forward to talking with you as we do this evaluation if we're selected, and really working together to improve our community.